We are back on PWN Radio, and we are joined by one half of the Sumerian Death Squad, Tommy End. He is the former WXW Unified World Champion, and he is one half of the current Southside Tag Team Champions. He is the cult hitman, Tommy End. Tommy, thank you for joining us.
No problem, man.
Tommy will be back at Southside on August 9th and 10th in Nottingham and St Neots. He'll be defending his tag team belts against Starbuck and Project Ego. He'll be also facing Southside champ Mark Haskins in single competition. So, Tommy, you've wrestled in the UK quite a number of years now. Do you find it a lot different to wrestling in Japan and America and Germany?
Well, if you look at the United Kingdom right now, especially in terms of wrestling, it's pretty booming. I first had my first booking in the UK was by IPW UK in 2007, which obviously wasn't a big success because I wasn't brought back. I got back into the United Kingdom a year and a half ago for ICW when I was contacted by Mark Dallas, who I met in England prior in 2012 when we incidentally bumped into each other because of a certain amount of happenings, and he basically liked what I did, and he liked the whole idea of the Sumerian Death Squad, and he liked the fact that, we came out of Holland, which is, not a lot of professional wrestlers come out of Holland, so he,
No.
and ICW being what ICW is, they promote like provocative, and they promote an 18-plus show very successfully. So he figured, we'd be a good addition to Insane Championship Wrestling, and he basically let us just roam free with what we wanted to do. And I think the rest kind of transcends from there. Southside started booking me and Michael Dante. Progress started using me, and I'm on a number of promotions coming up in the UK as well. So, in terms of things being different in the United Kingdom, like I said, it's booming right now. Wrestling in England, wrestling in Scotland is so big right now,
Yeah.
and I couldn't be happier to be over. I couldn't be happier to be a part of it.
Well, you're making your first defence of the Southside Tag Team belts on August 9th and 10th, and you're going to be rematching against Starbuck, and then the following day you're facing Project Ego in what's being described as a first-time dream match.
Yep. Well, I know both gentlemen, and I've wrestled Chris Travis in singles for HXC not too long ago, and it was a really tough match. I personally think that Chris Travis is one of the best wrestlers in the United Kingdom. I rate him very high. As a wrestling, we get along pretty well, so I'm expecting this match, especially since both our teams are so highly rated. I expect this match to be off the charts, and I can't wait to lock horns with both gentlemen, really.
Brilliant. And also Mark Haskins for the Southside World Championships as well.
Yeah. Well, we had the singles match a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't be happier with that match. I think me and Mark have a very unique chemistry. Obviously, I've known Mark for many, 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 many years, and we always seem to get along just really fine. So when we did the match, the outcome of it, like the response of it, even like on social media, from like the story we're telling, it was just brilliant, and I couldn't be happier, and I couldn't be happier to do this type of storyline with somebody like Mark Haskins, who understands wrestling so well.
Yeah.
And if you look at his track record, you obviously understand why he knows wrestling so well. He's been everywhere. So, I'm really looking forward to that because there's so much emotion, so much story written behind it.
Excellent. So the Death Squad use a lot of biblical terms in the promotions, and they do there's a lot of dark videos. I mean, I know you've got a bunch of videos on your Facebook page and Vimeo and things like that. Where does the inspiration come from for these?
Well, obviously, when you look at the Sumerian Death Squad, you have to look at what it is that we exactly are, and it's described as like a cult. It's described as something of an occult tag team, hitman, Illuminati, just basically a conspiracy-driven, characters. So not a lot of people know that a lot of the inspiration that comes from all the stuff we do in professional wrestling in terms of promos, characters, just basically the way we film things and all the references we make via social media or via promotions and via promos is because of like a lot of things that happened in my childhood. I grew up with a father who came out of nowadays it's formed into religion, but back then it was a cult. So early on from my childhood, I basically, I looked for all the things that I could use in wrestling. And for the longest time, I was actually having this conversation with somebody at Extreme Wrestling not too long ago. I was looking for what can I do in wrestling? What could I imply for myself and what could I use? And, for the longest time, I tried to be either the heel or the face. I tried to be the good guy or the bad guy.
Yeah.
And, with all the cliches ensuing in that. However, at one point, I was just thinking to myself, like, why are you trying so hard to be something you're not? I mean, what do you know? And I know a lot about cults. I know a lot about occult things. I know a lot about conspiracies. Yeah. And because I was brought up in a certain way, I know a lot about religion. So I also know, what makes people tick behind religion. I know what makes religion tick. So for me, it was only obvious that at one point, especially when Dante's also very into the subject of conspiracies and occult, to me, when we formed the Sumerian Death Squad, we didn't necessarily go into the conspiracy or occult part of it. I mean, we were just basically two hardcore kids who wanted to do the whole, I wouldn't say would, but back then the whole anti-hero thing was just something we used because it wasn't mainstream yet. I mean, if you look at society nowadays, everything that's underground is now pushed up to the foreground. I mean, you basically know how I look physically, right? Yeah. In terms of my tattoos and everything. If I would come up to a job interview now, I'd be received as a hero. If I would try that 10 years ago, people would think to themselves, are you joking coming in for this job interview,
Exactly.
But now, because it's so socially acceptable, actually it's a fashion statement almost. So when we started doing it, people got with it because it wasn't something that was mainstream, but it was perceived as different. However, and I have to refer back to ICW, we had this idea of we wanted to do something different. We wanted to attack what's socially acceptable. So Mark Dallas basically said, okay, you have this idea. I want you guys to run with it and just do what you feel like you should be doing. And that's when I started thinking okay, listen, you have this gimmick, which you can go either way with. What do you love and what can you use? So basically we started out thinking about all the occult things that we liked and all the things that that wasn't really done. I mean, obviously we're not the first one who do a dark gimmick or who do somewhat of a occult gimmick, but we have the advantage of me actually knowing what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So we implied that onto the characters, onto the gimmicks, and the rest is history because it worked.
Indeed, it did, and you've just noted that you might not be the first guys to do a dark or a sort of a bit of a cultish gimmick. But this seems totally different to I don't know, I'm thinking of modern things, kind of like the Wyatt family. It seems completely different. They seem like a watered down version of what you guys are doing.
Well, I wouldn't say a watered down version. The thing is they're doing their thing and we're doing our thing.
Yeah.
And I believe there's also a tag team in NXT called Ascension. And have made references to them and to the Wyatt family, but it's not like we're trying to emulate them. I mean, we've been doing this character stuff for long before they were anything, or long before they were popular.
Yeah.
In professional wrestling now, or as big as what they are right now. And like I said, it's not like we're the first ones to do something dark, something broody, something occult. However, we are very legit in it because of my background, because of what Dante knows, because of what I know and what I've experienced with a father who actually came out of a cult.
Yeah, it was because with that experience, you can make it more realistic, I guess, can't you?
Well, I know the mindset of somebody who's in a cult.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was raised by one.
Yeah. So, does that also flow into your singles character because you describe yourself as the anti-hero and you fight cliches with cliches? Would you like to expand on that, please?
The whole I fight cliches with cliches is basically what I just said. I mean, if you look at society now, everything, from the way that I look, from the music that I listen to, everything is so out in the open. Everybody claims to be, an individual.
Yeah.
However, the idea of individualism is just it's a given. People decide what people will be wearing. People decide what's in. People decide, what's cool and what's not cool. And because of the idea, and that's been brewing for a while now, it's like if you look at the past, the past 50 years, you can see that there's been almost a revolution in humanity and society where people try to, come out of their shell a lot more, and with things as social media like Facebook, or even back then like longer back like MySpace and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People had a platform to basically present themselves to other people around the world and saying, hey, this is me and this is how I look and this is what I like. And with that, I think society slowly evolved into the idea that thinking that the individual character of what they are makes them unique. But the joke is that nothing's unique because everything is done. And that goes for me, that goes for like my neighbors, that goes for everybody who tries to be an individual. I think the idea of individual is very given. So that's all the whole I fight cliches with cliche because we're living in cliche, but I realize that cliche, so I use that cliche to enhance my own cliche, basically, if you can still follow me on it.
Oh, definitely. It's kind of like a postmodern sort of everything's a copy of a copy. We're completely desensitized to everything.
Basically, that's what it is. And I just use things in my promotional work or in the things that I say that are provocative, but people perceive as, that's different, but it's kind of cool though, because you can't really put your finger on it, but you've seen it before. Because I use stuff that's familiar, yet it's very strange.
Exactly, and what you do an amazing job of it. And if you guys want to see Tommy and the Sumerian Death Squad, they'll be in Nottingham and St Neots on August 9th and 10th. Tickets are available from £10. You can get them at southsidewrestling.co.uk or ringsideworld.co.uk. Tommy, that was an absolutely fascinating interview. We really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your character and your story behind them.
No problem.
Thank you.